So I'll move on now to Georgios, I think, for looking at the other living labs.
I'm just going to quickly introduce our living labs. Maybe people are already aware of those. We are monitoring 3 sites from the University of Wollongong is monitoring 3 sites. One is an aged care facility near Wollongong. And we brought these guys in touch with neighbors, so they are also participating in the development of the new neighbors tool for aged care. The facility is relatively new. I'm not going to go into the details of the facility. So we are monitoring, we use new biosensors to monitor indoor conditions in the facility, what watches to monitor electricity use, and we do have a weather station outside to collect data on local weather conditions. And then another 2 buildings that we are monitoring as part of the Living Lab project are 2 school buildings in ACT. They are very different buildings. One is a very large, relatively new school building, Amaru. The Amaru School has a very large solar array on the top. So we're only monitoring a part of that building because it's very large for the scope of the project. I'll skip the types of systems that they are using to save a bit of time. And then the other building is Faden School. It's a very old, close to 40 years old building with a very old gas boiler that has come very close to its end of life. A very small solar array on the top. Again, some evaporative coolers and other systems. And then we have a list of technologies that we're interested in testing, and they do match the types of buildings that we are studying. So if you know specific companies that they want to test and demonstrate the impact of the technology into improving the value of renewable energy and energy use in general in this type of buildings, let us know. I probably don't have time to go through the way we came down to these technologies. But given the nature of this discussion here today, I don't have people from ACT schools online, but I thought I could share some Q&A we had with them recently, and when we were discussing about the education sector and the types of improvements that could be made there when it comes to delivering better value for renewable energy and improvements in general in the energy use of their buildings. So one of the questions we asked them before is whether there are any digital, whether the records are in digital format, and whether it would be an easy route to go from what they have to developing digital twins and models so that the decision making for the future capital projects it becomes more informed and more effective. And the answer was that there is just a series of spreadsheets and no skill for moving into digital twins and stock models where policies can be developed in a more effective way from these models. Another question we asked them before, whether again, it's very similar to the previous one, whether there is a formal process surrounding the decision-making process for their upgrades. And the answer, as you would expect, is that the current process is disaggregated. They are planning to improve their asset management and asset replacement methods towards a more life cycle analysis decision making, but currently this is not happening. And maybe another question I will share. So here at the University of Wollongong, we often get approached by school principals asking information about because they are concerned about the request they get to install large air conditioning systems in their schools. So they are concerned about bills and so on. And the ACT Education Director, they answer that they will normally provide advice to schools, and that a large majority of schools in ACT, they don't even have ceiling insulation. So the first advice will be first, of course, to improve the envelope before they start going for air conditioning systems. But quite often, the tendency is to push capital projects towards technologies that they are more easy to be photographed, such as solar systems, really. Finally, as part of the Living Labs, we have these sector-wide projects where there are several deliverables there, but one of them is about developing a baseline, a benchmark study for in this case, for the school sector. And we are going around in all states, and we're talking to different states on the available data sets for energy use in schools, gas usage, electrical usage. If available, solar generation, it's often net metered, so that's not often available, but we are asking about that. Obviously, so far we have found that ACT has the best available data set. With Tasmania, we had to go through a right of information request, but we got their data. South Australia doesn't have any data. But to cut a long story short, down here you can see that the most interesting reply came from Western Australia, where we were told that there is only a one-line budget item for the schools, and they are free to use that budget the way they want, through the staffing, for staffing, or for energy use, or for equipment, or whatever. And they don't currently hold any data centrally. So that was very, very interesting to know that West Australia doesn't really record electricity or utility bills for schools. And I'll stop here.